Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another episode of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And I have a wonderful panel of guest critics tonight. We have, after a very long hiatus, we've got Miss Jen Covey. Jen, welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Anytime. And Mr. Rob Harris, welcome back again.
Thanks for having me, Randy. Always a pleasure.
Definitely. Awesome. And Miss Rachel Kolb, welcome back, Rachel.
Hi, happy to be back. Weather is gorgeous outside today. I am loving this.
It is a lovely day on the East Coast here. Yeah, so basically we're smack dab in the middle of the Tribeca Film Festival. A lot of fun stuff going on, a lot of great films so far. But first, before we get into Tribeca Films, so I want to know, what are you guys watching other than what we're talking about tonight? What are you guys watching this week? Jen, since it's been a while, you go first.
So other than what you've had me been watching, Rob and I like to keep up on Law and Order. So we actually started midway through the pandemic. We started from the very beginning, so that we could watch them all in order. And I've always been kind of like a fan, but it's a different experience when you watch them all in order, I have to say. So if that's like, something anybody's ever been interested in, I highly recommend doing it just consistently every single night.
Okay. Yeah, I've only honestly just caught, random episodes on cable.
That's how I was before the pandemic. Yep. And then we decided to do this, and I don't know, I feel like it's a different show to me now.
Cool. Have the characters developed over the years?
Yeah, so what kind of happens on it is like they bring back like comments and storylines from previous episodes that like before maybe I wouldn't have noticed, but now I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, we watched that one, and like you kind of see how their relationships have developed more than just like a couple lines per episode. So I highly recommend watching it from the first episode on.
Okay. And have any of the cases come back from earlier episodes?
So not like as a full trial or anything, but they have mentioned previous cases and like things that were unsolved and whatnot from other episodes, and they kind of bring them back and mirror them, which is cool too.
Oh, nice. Rob, how is it going back to these episodes, starting from the beginning?
It's really good. I mean, I used to like watch marathons when they'd be on cable. But yeah, I mean, we've basically been watching SVU. My grandfather and I started watching Organized Crime, Law and Order, and it's pretty good too. We have to catch up on like the last 3 or 4 episodes, but it is cool watching it from the beginning because, as Jen was saying, like the character development is woven like subtly, into like episodes that are few and far between. It's mostly just about them solving the cases and stuff like that. And the detectives just unfold as they are, but yeah, occasionally you get like a background episode that's really juicy, which is nice. So
okay, gotta love those juicy episodes.
Yeah.
Rachel, what have you?
I gotta say it as a Broadway.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I was gonna say that as a Broadway fan, I'm a very big fan of Law and Order because of the fact that it's Jerry Orbach and Jess Gil Martin, who are both Broadway alums. For whatever reason, law procedurals just seem to attract Broadway actors.
Well, they film it in New York, right?
They do.
Yeah.
I've actually I filmed something at, I can't say what, but I filmed something at one of their studios. So I actually have been in the Law and Order room for another show, but it was cool.
That's very cool. Okay. What was it like? Did you feel the energy?
It was kind of funny because like I recognized like the hallway because they filmed like different angles from the same studio, and it was weird because I was filming something else. Obviously it wasn't for that show, but you kind of looked around and I was like, oh, I've seen this before. Like it was like the feeling of having been there, except I've never actually been there.
So cool.
That's cool. All right, guys. Well, as for me, every couple of weeks I get into like a weird phase where I have to watch everything of a certain actor. And basically the past 2-3 weeks has been all Michael Douglas because because I binge watched the Kaminsky Method. It was amazing. And I just want to see more of this guy's work. I mean, I've seen, Wonder Boys is one of my favorite films of his. But I just wanted to, dig a little deeper. Romancing the Stone, Fatal
Yes.
Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct, and I've obviously I've done seen Falling Down, The Game.
Very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the man is so good, and
Mhm.
he's acting royalty. His dad, obviously Kirk Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
One
So-
time, Rob and I were dressed up for Halloween, and
Oh yeah, great story.
it has nothing
I
to
love
do.
this.
It has to do with this, but we were dressed as we went as a group theme years ago as a Powerpuff Girls with a couple of my friends, and Rob was the professor, and he was just walking around the party, and some guy came up to him and he was like, "Let me guess what your costume is." Michael Douglas in Falling Down.
Yeah, because I originally had a lab coat on, but it was like really humid that night, and I took it off. We were outside, and I was like, "No, it's not what I am, but I'm gonna go as that next year." I thought it was so good.
So you had the tie and the glasses.
Yeah, it was a black tie, white button up, and of course I had my glasses on. So all I needed was a briefcase.
You have like a short haircut at the time, like a bun?
Yeah,
I
his
mean,
hair was
yeah,
shorter then.
it was
Oh, that's
definitely
cool.
shorter. Yeah.
You have pictures of this, I assume.
Oh yeah, I
somewhere,
can send them
yes.
to you afterwards.
Awesome. After the show, we'll definitely share that. But yeah, Michael Douglas all week, and it's been amazing. He's great, and I can't wait to see more. So let's just get into our first review. So like I said, right now the Tribeca Film Festival is going on. We're right in the middle of it. And, in the past week, I've tried to find as many films as possible, as many interesting films as possible to watch. And the first one I came across, one of the first ones, it's a weird title, Glob Lessons. And this is a quirky little dramedy about two kind of, they're two they're two actors basically who are involved in this traveling acting troupe where they go to libraries and schools and entertain children with very weird, silly renditions of classic tales like Robin Hood. And along the way, in one of their jobs, they basically bond. They learn more about themselves, the direction their lives are going, and they kind of, go on this journey, both physically and emotionally. And I was surprised. I thought the acting was really good. The lead actress, Nicole Rodenberg, is actually the director and co-writer of the movie, and it's her feature film debut as a director. I thought she did a great job wearing three hats. And it was very, like I said, quirky. It was interesting. It was deeper than I thought it was going to be. And the acting and writing were fantastic. What did you guys think, Rachel?
So I think this is a movie that needs to change its name immediately, because that name does not live up to how good this movie is. Glob Lessons, no, just figure out something else. Name it literally anything else other than that. I was very pleasantly surprised. If you enjoy movies like Skeleton Twins, sort of that lean in on sort of these kind of strained relationships that become closer, and also like really leans in on the comedy, but also isn't afraid to shy away from kind of like the center elements of the story. I think it's a really good choice. It also reminded me of Little Miss Sunshine, actually, at several points in the story, really with the road trip story in there, and kind of the notion of these actors that are kind of rethinking their life choices, and I mean, kind of coming around to rediscovering their love of acting, which is it's a really wonderful thing to see. I was kind of worried that it was going to go in the direction of that it's just, they're in their 30s and they haven't really gotten their big break and everything. And it's like, no, like going and doing these shows and entertaining kids and getting them interested in storytelling and everything can be its own reward. That can be like its own wonderful like career. You don't necessarily have to be, in Hollywood or on Broadway in order to live your dream of being an actor.
Just rediscovering yourself. And they could have gone a road that was like predictable, and kind of it's been done before, but I think this was kind of a fresh take on that kind of that whole rediscovering yourself, and I was pleasantly surprised. Rob, what was your take?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, you know, I was really caught off guard by this too. Like, you know, Jen and I watched it together, and I was like laughing hysterically at some of the scenes. Like, they were so quippy and like funny. You know, like the humor was there and everything like that, and it was just a good story that I really enjoyed. The cinematography was really outstanding, also. Just like the lighting. I love how they had like a lot of night shots, and they had like a glow to them that was just really beautiful to look at.
Sure.
And oh, there was something. Oh yeah, so I kind of feel like they were like paying homage to Fargo a little bit. I, you know, just like the opening scene and stuff like that. You know, with like the sky shot of you know, the parking lot and everything like that. It was just reminding me of it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. You know, thumbs up.
Such a very different genre and story from Fargo, but stylistically, visually, the movie does
right
share a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah,
another
and
thing that was, I'm sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think that's because of the setting, because clearly the writer director does really get that feel, like vibe of what it's like to drive through the Midwest. Like even little details, like
I believe she's from there. I know a little bit about her, but I'm pretty sure she's from there, which is probably also why she gets it a little more than like somebody that's just like from New York that went there. That makes any sense?
I was going to say before, one thing I really enjoyed about the film also is that there were like a lot of pauses, like with open space. They weren't too long, but they were just enough like to transition well and like leave you with whatever feeling, you know, was generated by the last scene. And it was just very tasteful and masterful.
And those touches that they basically blur the line between comedy and drama, and I think this is just a quintessential dramedy, because you could mistake this for a flat out comedy, but with those pauses, like you mentioned, they really they create some tension there, which makes a really good dramedy. Jen Covey, our resident actress here.
So you could honestly not have picked a better week to have me on here, because you're doing, no, I'm serious, doing In the Heights, which I have seen a bunch of times, not the movie, you know, productions of it. And two, I think you know this, I'm not sure who else watching knows this, but for a long stretch of time, I would say 4 or 5 years at the beginning of my career, I worked in children's theater as my bread and butter for most of my acting. So this was like actually incredible to watch. Rob was laughing with me because for about half of of that time I was dating Rob. So like I was doing this before I was dating him, and then when we started dating, he would go and meet me backstage, and so he kind of knew the experience. I have to say, I don't know if it's her, I don't know if it's him or whoever wrote this, but one of them has worked in children's theater, because this was the most spot on depiction of what it's like to work in a traveling children's theater I have ever seen in my life. I mean, I've seen them try to do that on film and in television, and it's usually like quippy and they make fun of it a little bit, but I have never seen anything as realistic in this fashion in my entire life. And I did it for about 4 or 5 years. So the personalities of the two of them is 100% like people that I've met on the road. When you're trying to call on the road and you're not getting paid and you don't know where you are, and then you get to a place and they cancel it, all of those things have happened to me at least 10, 15 times a piece.
Were you the Midwest? Like, were you?
I never went to the Midwest. I did mostly East Coast. I mean, I've been to the Midwest, but not for children's theater. Most of the things I did were on the East Coast, but same vibe. It was a New York company that sent me out to places. Usually ended up like, you know, driving around with people for hours. Half of them were like, oh, I'm, you know, I forget what she was Jesse. I can't remember what his name, Alan, was that his name?
Alan.
A lot of people were like Alan, where it was like, you know, they were like, oh, this is, you know, my dream and I have to do it. And then like a lot of people were like Jesse, who were like, oh, I've given up on that dream. I'm just doing this now to do it. I mean, and the people you meet were like the people in the film, I couldn't believe how well they depicted the characters that you run into as well. I mean, the guy that they met in the bar that was the teacher, I've actually had that literal conversation with people before, that word for word, that exact thing. So whoever wrote this, I know Nicole wrote it. I think she may have written it with the guy who played Alan as well, but one of them has worked in children's theater, and I mean, a brilliant job of just getting it right, honestly.
And that's Nicole Rodenberg and Colin Frober. I want to say Frober.
Yeah. Colin, yeah, that's the actor's name. Yeah, whoever it was, that's one of them has worked in children's theater, and it was spot on. I've never seen anything that perfect before.
That's great. And those little scenes where they're like kind of behind the curtain right before
library, that was mostly where we go is libraries and parks. I mean, I could go on and on, but one time for me, we were set up in a park and they forgot to bring a curtain, so we were getting changed with traffic behind us watching us get changed, and the kids were on the other side of the other curtain.
Wow.
Yeah. So and in the big van, and they toss everything in there. Oh yeah. So all of it is 100% right. Actually, another story that was similar to what happened, and Rob was there for this too and was laughing. Without giving names, I knew two people in a children's production that got super drunk before we went on and performed drunk while we were in a library.
So that's
I was laughing because I was like, is this my life? Like, did they follow me around and get exactly like so yeah, I mean, other than the very obviously bizarre scenes, I don't want to give too much away, but like when they stop and they do the thing with the puppet, that didn't happen to me personally, but like the more generic parts of it, or I mean, what every children's actor goes through, I would say.
That's insane. So this movie really struck home for you.
Oh, the first 5 minutes, I was like, who wrote this? Do they know me personally? Yeah, I mean, and it was relatable to other people too. I mean, for me, obviously, I've experienced it, so I could relate to it. But I mean, I think anybody that hasn't could also relate to it on a different level.
Yeah, I was gonna say overall, it's just like a very human and relatable story, and just endearing, Yeah.
And the relationship between these two is so powerful, so strong.
It's super interesting too. Like, I mean, I never would have thought that they like ended up where they did, and like the whole journey was awesome.
Yeah. Like, so yeah, they co-wrote it together, they're co-starring, and I just love it when kind of like fictional life mirrors, real life. So
I would love to find out if they met doing children's theater or something of the like that both inspired them to write something like this together. Yeah. It's hard to write something with another person. Yeah. But to do that, you have to have kind of a shared experience in what you're writing about, I think. Right. So that's something I would just be interested to know, if they have written other things together, how they met, something like that.
I'm not positive on that. I have a good feeling that they have worked before together. And again, that relationship is really, it's so good. It transfers very well through screen, and I want to see more of what they can cook up, because they're
absolutely
very talented people. Just real quick, Jen. So would you say collaboration is key in creating art?
Yeah. Especially film or theater. Like, it's one thing to write something by yourself, but you need other people. You cannot, even if you're going to be producer or actor, you need other people to help you, because you need a balance in multiple perspectives. But it's very difficult to write something with somebody else, because it has to be coherent, and it's hard to get two perspectives to meld into one.
Okay. Well put. All right, guys. So we have next up another film from the Tribeca Film Festival. This is actually a short film. What we just reviewed was a feature, but this film is called Last Meal, and it's a very interesting little documentary. It's only 17 minutes long, but it really crams a lot in there. It is a very interesting take on, it's actually a commentary on capital punishment by describing in detail what were some of the most notorious criminals' last meals were. And basically, you know, I think one of them was fried shrimp, fried chicken, and a pound of strawberries,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. It was just very cool to see what some of these horrible people ate right before they were, you know, sent to the electric chair. And you know, at first I was like, okay, since this is a short film, it's probably not going to be that impactful. But I think since it was so short, it really it resonated with me, and it definitely did pack a punch. Rob, what were your takes on this film?
I was left like at the end of it, you know, feeling like, oh wow, like that was a lot, you know, that it was almost like rapid fire, you know, information that they were presenting, and it like the imagery with the food was like very potent. It was like a weird, you know, thing to superimpose, like, you know, these criminals and like these beautiful like images of food that are even nicer than some commercials that I've seen. Really. But I don't know. Like I felt like I wanted to see a little bit more. I mean, I would have slowed down the pacing a little bit and clarified the message a little bit further. Yeah.
It was almost comical, I think.
Yeah,
You know what
it was. I mean,
the editing and the sound design, especially.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I think I agree with you on because I did want more. I wanted them to kind of flesh out what they were trying to say.
Right.
Because when I read the description, how they were trying to emphasize capital punishment, you know, they didn't really drive that home as much as they should have, I think.
Right. Yeah, I was kind of like searching for a takeaway at the end of it. Like I wasn't sure how I felt. I was just remembering like, you know, John Wayne Gacy and like fried chicken. Like
I just keep thinking of the strawberries.
There was a lot of ice cream in there too.
Like it was really good editing for a commercial. Like this looks beautiful. But what were your thoughts on Last Meal?
So I actually watch a lot of like documentaries on serial killers and a lot of like ID channel episodes. So I actually had heard a lot of these meals before, so there wasn't really any information that was a surprise to me. Maybe one I hadn't heard of. Overall though, I felt like this really fell short as far as a production is concerned. The information is always the same. It's just as interesting. They tried to make it a little political, but they didn't too much. The food was beautiful, but I just didn't get a sense of, I felt like I was watching a PSA. I didn't feel like I was watching a documentary.
Right.
And that was really my biggest issue with this, is that at the end of it, I was like, okay, and what's the point of this? Like, it was almost like they were just telling me information, which in my case, I happen to know a lot of, but even if I didn't know any of it, I don't think I would have felt a sense of closure at the end, because it wasn't poorly made. It just didn't feel like a movie. It felt like 15 minutes of information I could have gotten from like History Channel.
I think if it were stretched out, you know, in terms of runtime, I think,
or if they had interviewed somebody or something,
that's a good point.
It felt.
That's good. If they interviewed like prison guards who actually
if it just felt
interviewed the chefs, like interview chefs, like get some professional chefs in there to get their takes on these last meals. Like, there's a lot that you can do.
Like opinion on why they might order something. I mean, it was just a bunch of quotes with food, and like, okay, Ted Bundy ate this, and Eileen Wuornos, I think that's her name, she ate this. Like it just was listing things. I could have easily gone on BuzzFeed and like found the list of all of this and read it to myself.
Right. They could have
you know, I mean, I know that's blunt, but that's like how it felt a little bit.
Yeah, it's like the writing, I guess, was a little bit lazy on the filmmaker's part. I mean, the research was there, obviously.
Yeah, the facts were great. The visuals were nice, and the narrator, he did a great job. I could understand what he was saying. It just didn't feel like a movie. It felt like I was watching a PSA on MTV, honestly.
Yeah. And Rachel, you are obviously the resident chef here.
Yes, in culinary school at the moment. Yeah, there's so many interesting ways you could take this material. Like, you could have looked at it from the standpoint like humanizing them, that it's like that everybody eats, like everybody has their favorite foods and everything, and like going at it from that perspective, or looking at overall larger, like the resources that are used towards like the death penalty, and towards like, you know, and the weirdness of keeping these people alive for like all of this time and then like killing, like it's, there's so many different directions that you could have gone with this.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it just really didn't have a perspective on it.
Yeah, it was a little. I think I'm gonna blame the runtime at just 17 minutes.
Yeah.
There was a lot they could have said. There's a lot they wanted to say, but they just didn't get the point across in the best way possible.
What was also kind of weird about the way that it was presented is that like it wasn't political, which is fine. I like watching things that are not political when you're talking about this, because it's kind of gives you just a straight and narrow view. But every once in a while they threw in like one or two kind of political sentences, so it's kind of like either take the leap or don't. It felt like they were just trying to insert a little bit, so it was like, oh, but also by the way. And I just, either give me all the facts with like a psychologist or a chef, like Rachel said, or don't do that at all. Like pick a side. You can't walk the line like that and then expect me to be like, all right, great.
Yeah.
I just thought of another one. You could have also done something with the disparities as far as like maybe the upbringing or the lives of the people, like contrasting it with what they had for their last meals.
Yeah. It's weird, like this movie, it seems like this is, I mean, this is a film festival, so they are sort of testing it out. I don't know if this is going to be the final film, but if it is, it has room for improvement. That's all I'm saying.
Beautiful pictures though. I mean, the quotes that were selected and the cinematography, whoever did that was lovely. Like, it made me hungry. It made me interested in like what they were eating, but I just felt like I was reading something.
I mean, they crammed a lot in there and it looked beautiful, but if they stretched it out longer, I think they would have something even better, a lot more special.
Yeah.
With more impact, I'd say. All right, guys. So those are our first two film reviews for Tribeca Film Festival. Very exciting. And yeah, we are actually going to take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with more film reviews right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending, interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Under the Radar, and we are down to our final film review of the show, the big event, very big event, this movie. I don't even know how I can introduce such a movie, because it's in the Heights, ladies and gentlemen, and it's based on a play by the great Lin-Manuel Miranda, who you know from Hamilton. In the Heights, I believe, was his first musical, and he won the Tony Award a number of years ago for Best Musical for this. They started productions in 2000, I think, yeah, sorry, early in 2005, and it went through numerous productions between then and now, different countries, different productions. It has been sort of in development hell in terms of film adaptation, but thankfully we finally got the film. It was supposed to be released last year, but due to COVID, it was pushed to now. It is currently on HBO Max for 1 month. It's also in theaters, and it has made $11.5 million so far in its opening weekend, and it's a wonderful story about chasing your dreams, and it follows Usnavi, played by Anthony Ramos, as a bodega owner in Washington Heights, who, he's in love with this girl. Everybody else in his life seems to be in love with the girl or in love with the guy. It's about small business owners. It's just a bright, flashy, beautiful movie with a great score, a great soundtrack, really good performances, actually, mostly by Anthony Ramos, who was in Hamilton. And, I know, Rachel, I know, Jen, you're big theater people. So, Rachel, what were your thoughts first? What were your thoughts in Heights?
Wow. The crazy thing is that I've actually never seen the stage production of In the Heights, but I have listened to the soundtrack many times, and I've watched from several different performances and stagings of the material. And this adaptation is, I swear, if it does not win for best adaptation next year at the Oscars, I don't know what's going on, because this is a true full adaptation of it. I think that they said there were 10 lines from the original script that made it into the movie. That's, of course, excluding lyrics from the songs, but which also did undergo quite a bit of a change. But they really redirected the movie as far as its focus. The original stage play deals a lot with colorism. It deals a lot with, of course, the neighborhood, the changing neighborhood, the notion of like family and community. And of course, the new movie has kept a lot of those elements, while it is also refocused and brought in storylines about the dreamers, about immigration, about the notion of fitting in at an elite, mostly white college as a person of color. And they almost serve as like companion pieces to each other. I've seen some complaints about the changes that were made and some of the songs that were cut and some of the refocusing of the story. But I feel like if you get the chance to see both of them side by side, you really get the best of all of it. And you get this just really beautiful, complete, like much more complete picture of what Washington Heights looks like. And the cinematography in this movie, the shots, the staging of the music numbers, particularly like 96,000 and Paciencia Ife are the two that really stand out for me. Those numbers, I had to go back and rewatch it as soon as the movie was done. I'm like, I'm rewinding back. I got to watch those numbers again because they were just so spectacularly done. Also made me really want to go to the pool.
Yeah.
I think that the 96,000 that dance number was like a couple of hundred extras, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. And
they listed actually all of the dancers. I always sit through the credits because, one, I work on films, so I feel like I owe that to the people, and two, because sometimes I see people I know like listed in there that I've worked with. And yeah, they actually listed all of the dancers and a bunch of the extras, which is very unusual for them to do in films, which I thought was great. I loved that part.
I should also mention John M. Chu served as director, and we all know him from Crazy Rich Asians, which is another lavish, very bright production a lot of fun. And he just has this way about handling the camera and his crew and his actors in a way that really just it creates for a very fun environment. And Jen, I'm curious, what was your take on In the Heights?
I thought it was a masterful adaptation, as Rachel said before. I try not to be super picky when plays are turned into movies, because I understand, having worked in both, that they're two different mediums. However, I think that this one was done almost flawlessly. And part of the reason for that is probably because the original writer and director and producer was also working on this one. So he was able to change his image to fit on the screen. But I think that it, sped up in all the right places, because, what was going on in 2007 and 8 is not what's happening now. Some things are the same, but some things have changed. And I think he was able to depict those changes beautifully. I think that being able to film it on location in Washington Heights was the best thing that they could do.
Yeah.
I think that if they had tried to do this in a studio somewhere else, it really wouldn't have given the flavor that it did. I think that using some of the original actors, so the actor that played Usnavi was in the original Broadway cast as a smaller role. So he was able to bring that with him. I think that they did a great job with what they cut. There were some changes from the original, but I think that they wouldn't have played as well. And I think they made the right choice as far as what to keep and what not to keep.
And also Lin-Manuel Miranda was the original Usnavi.
Yeah.
But that was a number of years ago. And I think, like 2005 or so.
Yeah, like very early on at the beginning.
And now he's he's 41 now, so the role went to a younger Anthony Ramos, who's 29 now.
What I do think was interesting, and this isn't really a spoiler, but in the original Broadway play, he's just narrating to the audience. But in the movie, he's telling the story to a bunch of kids.
Right.
And I think that was a really great way of making it a narration without making it a narration, because it felt more authentic, as opposed to, okay, this is me and I'm going to tell my story. That works on Broadway, but in films that can get kind of tricky.
The transition at the end, I don't want to give anything away, but it's a nice reveal.
That was
right
at the end there. But I just and like you said, Jen, working in New York, filming on location, New York it's such a beautiful city, and to actually film on the streets as opposed to a soundstage,
especially since that's such a big part of what the storyline is about. It's one thing to say, oh, this takes place in New York, but it's another thing when the whole premise of the storyline has to deal with the neighborhood that they're filming in. I think it adds kind of a nice rhythm to it that it wouldn't have had otherwise.
And the whole thing with the bodega and Jimmy Smits and his business, it's commentary on small businesses kind of struggling and trying to make it, and everybody else in the production trying to make their dreams come true. Right. So it's a really positive story. It's great for the whole family, I'd say. It's just kids can enjoy it. It's fun. The music is vibrant. It's a great production, and I'm glad that we were finally gifted this wonderful story to the silver screen. Rob, I'm sorry.
If I can interrupt, sorry. Randy, with
Yeah.
what you were saying about how wonderful it is that it's so family friendly, that it's
Yeah.
like so positive and everything. We really do have Lynn and the original scriptwriter, and who also wrote the screenplay for this, Kiara Allegra Hudas. I apologize if I mispronounced that. I looked up pronunciations online and hope I got that correct. However, the fact that they fought for their vision of this and to keep the original vision of the stage, because this was originally acquired by Harvey Weinstein, and he wanted, like, the studio pushed very hard to add in storylines, drugs, to add in storylines about gangs, to basically make it rougher, tougher, to like entirely change what the show is. And they pushed back on that, and they waited for a very long time. When you look at when this show originally came out and the fact that it's just now coming out, that's a testament to the fact that they were willing to wait to get it right.
Yeah. That's the true testament to an artist, that dedication, that endurance, resilience. I really respect Lin-Manuel, and I will not pronounce her name wrong. But yeah, they are a great artistic team, and I'm so grateful that they brought this story to us. I didn't want to leave you out, Rob. What were your impressions of In the Heights?
I mean, just like a really very enjoyable film overall. I really didn't know too much about the stage production of it. So I was just looking at it like from the film perspective. I mean, Jen and I saw it in the theater, and I was like tapping in my seat there and like dancing around and stuff like that. I mean, the music was fantastic, visually very appealing. The acting was great. There were like even like little motifs, that came through really well on screen. Like Usnavi's like looking through the window, and he sees like his whole community outside dancing, and it's like, it's like it's a part of him and stuff like that. Like he's not separate from it, and vice versa. Little things like that. And yes, 96,000 was fantastic, and also I felt like it was a great homage to old Hollywood. Like all the water sequences and stuff like that from the top. And there was some great little like hip hop references that they threw in there that I was like so excited about. What else? Yeah, just overall really great. There was one little thing that I felt just kind of like took me out of the film for a while. The sequence when two characters are like dancing on the side of the building.
Oh yeah.
I felt like it reminded me of like Roberto Rodriguez is saying. He said something like, if you have like the perfect scene and it doesn't fit with the rest of your movie, just don't put it in.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it just didn't fit. Like I was too like jarred watching it. Like I wasn't even like hearing or seeing what was going on.
I don't want to spoil it for everybody watching, but yeah, it was like almost a supernatural sci-fi element that didn't fit.
Yeah, I have to agree. That was like the one scene, and they sounded beautiful, and it was a beautiful scene, but it just didn't feel like it fit in with the rest of the movie. I would have liked to see a different vision for that as well.
I mean, there were other scenes that were also like very surreal, and almost like otherworldly, but they were absolutely stunning, and like, they were grounded at the same time, and they fit with the rest of the movie. Yeah. Like there are some scenes in the subway. I'm not gonna, give any spoilers, but like those scenes were incredible. Yeah. Very, very enjoyable film overall.
Yeah, very dreamlike, yeah, I could see this. I could definitely see this being nominated for some Oscars. I really hope.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
I don't know the woman's name off the top of my head that played Abuela. She was in the original Broadway cast as well.
Yeah, it's Olga something. Martinez
Meredith, maybe?
Meredith, yeah.
Something like that. She was in the original Broadway cast as well. Phenomenal. I think she stole the show in her main scene, and I think that she as an actress held the glue of everybody together. The chemistry for her was unreal, and I hope that she gets a supporting actress nomination. I thought she was outstanding.
Yeah. And speaking of, there were a lot of characters that were sort of the glue to the story.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, acting wise, I felt like she
was
she had a relationship
like
with
a whole
everyone.
level.
I felt like she was the
very
heart
hard to do.
Everything.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But I also want to mention Lin-Manuel Miranda, who couldn't play Usnavi here, but he was the Paragua guy, the shaved ice dessert vendor who has a very funny feud with the Mr. Softy vendor. And I think that was just hilarious. But he was.
I believe that. Don't quote me on this. I believe that the guy that played the ice cream vendor was the original Benny on Broadway as well. So that's also why it's kind of funny, because they were they played like best friends in the Broadway version, and then they became
also
rivals
so
in the
cool.
movie.
That's so cool.
Christopher Jackson, who was also in Hamilton.
Yeah. Well, I love that
Joshua.
Lin-Manuel Miranda uses his, the same people.
Yeah.
That's like a nice loyalty, but
Again, that's the collaboration,
Mhm.
and work with who you trust, who you know.
yeah.
And
And they also know the story inside and out, so they
Yep.
can add that layer of like we were there for every single part
That's a
of
good
it.
point too. It's
True.
carrying the same magic from before into the future.
Yeah,
Indeed.
actually, speaking of that, there actually is an actress in the movie who passed away in 2020 that they paid tribute to really beautifully, that had been in every single major production of the show, all the way back to the original off-Broadway run of the show. And she's actually featured very briefly in the number Breathe, and then she's also the voice on the record that keeps scratching.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm looking up her name right now. It's Doreen is her first name. I'm just figuring out her full name here real quick. But again, just wonderful way to pay tribute to the fact that she's been with the show forever and had been an ensemble member, had been in the off-Broadway, on-Broadway, the Kennedy Center reunion, and then got to be in the movie, even if you didn't get to see the final product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And you know what? I just love that this movie was so long in the making. It took all this time to kind of refine it and make it as special as it is today. So if this was released like 5 years ago, it probably wouldn't have been as good.
It's worth the wait. It
Yeah,
really was.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about it now. I'm thinking of the songs in my head. I could hear them.
Yep.
Rob, I'm tapping my foot as well. And it's a lot of fun. But yeah, this movie's in theaters now. I saw this on HBO Max at home, and I really wish I saw this in theaters. I still have I could still go see it now.
Yes,
And I think
go
I
see
might.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lin-Manuel and some of his cast and the director came on screen like before the movie. They're like, "Thank you for coming to the movies. So good to be back." Like, so there was like a personal message for the audience.
Oh, okay.
So,
Like
yeah.
a pre-recorded.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like them, like almost like an interview, but they were saying like, oh, this
Yes.
is only for people that see it in the movie theater. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was nice to see that. Maybe feel good about being in the theater
I
again.
think I would go. Yeah, I would definitely go see this in the theater.
Yeah.
Rachel, how did you go see the film?
I saw it on HBO Max, but I have my tickets to see it on Saturday and on the big screen. And I am
Nice.
so excited. I'm taking my mom to go see it. She has not seen it yet, so and she's very excited about it. And I looked up the name. It's Doreen Montalvo, and you can look her other work. She was in On Your Feet on Broadway.
I was gonna say I
the
recognize that name.
stuff on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. All right, guys. So yeah, In the Heights, it's in theaters now. It's on HBO Max for 1 month. So please go check it out. It's just a fun movie, and you won't just be disappointed. I just wanted to mention real quick, as you guys probably know, Steven Spielberg is adapting West Side Story.
Oh my goodness! Yes, they played a trailer at the beginning
Oh,
of that
really?
film. Yes. Oh my goodness!
They also filmed
chills,
that
chills.
in New York. I
Blocks
actually
away from each other.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I actually know a couple of the dancers in it. So it's
wow.
going to be pretty authentic.
That's cool.
They're doing it for real. I mean, not that the original isn't an amazing piece as well, but they're going to do it like very true to what would be real, as opposed to like, this is a nice thing from the 60s. They're
Right.
not redoing it as the movie before. They're doing it like
To
pretty
make it their own?
authentic. Yeah.
Because I mean, Spielberg, he's my favorite filmmaker,
Mhm.
and I don't know how I feel about this because the first, West Side Story is so iconic. Such a
But it's going to be more like the Broadway show is, I guess, what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be the same story and the same music, but it's going to be more like how we saw this one, and they kind of adapted it for a more modern flair.
okay.
It's going to be more like on the streets. You're going to feel it. The first one, I think, is supposed to be just like a movie of the musical, whereas this one is going to be like a movie that's based on the musical but also updated. If that makes any sense at all.
It looked like it's
yeah.
gonna be like more of a raw story.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, it's going to be like the raw version of what happens.
Okay.
But they're also doing Dear Evan Hansen, which I'm excited for as well.
That looked good too. I haven't seen the show, but like it looks very appealing and interesting. So
yeah, all these shows, I really wish I got to see them on stage instead of on.
I saw Dear Evan Hansen with Ben Platt when it first came out. I also know some people that are on the Broadway version, so I'm really interested to see what they do with the movie, because that's a show that's very modern. It came out not that long ago, and the themes are very modern, and there's a lot of technology and cell phones and things in it. So I think that will read on screen very, very well.
When is Broadway officially opening up again?
September for some shows.
September. Okay.
But I mean, every show is picking a different date, so it's not like everybody's opening up on September 22nd. It's like some are September, some are October, some are November.
But September is the month. That is the
for some of them, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
School's in session.
Yeah. And you said it like Morgan Freeman.
With the headphones on.
In
too.
session later.
I love it. All right, guys. So yeah, In the Heights. Check that out. Check out West Side Story. Looking forward to Broadway opening up. And also, I just want to mention real quick, we've got some 2 new releases that are not in the Tribeca Film Festival. Very different from the Tribeca Film Festival. We've got F9, the Fast and the Furious film. I don't think you're gonna see that. You're not gonna see that.
I was making jokes about that in the theater as well. He was saying like, we're gonna have grandchildren. We're gonna be like, let's go see Fast and Furious.
Fast and the Furious 27 with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Vin Diesel said he wants to end in 2024. So.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. He'll be like 55, I think.
So it's gonna be like Barbara Streisand. He's gonna say it's over, and then he's gonna come back, for like other movies,
We'll see. But
he's gonna make a hologram or something, Sorry.
Maybe. But yeah, F9 or Fast 9 or Fast and Furious 9, whatever you want to call it. That's opening this week. Also, Lansky, a biographical crime drama film, actually has a really good cast. Harvey Keitel, Sam Worthington, Minka Kelly, and it basically tells the story of an aging Meyer Lansky criminal. So yeah, those are 2 new films that are not Tribeca related. There's a lot of stuff going on. If you're in Manhattan this week, or even if you're home doing it virtually, like I'm doing, it's still a lot of fun. A lot of great films at the Tribeca Film Festival this year. So guys, we have a few minutes left, but I just wanted to go around and do some plugs. Any projects we're working on? Anything you want to mention? Jen, since it's been over a year, I think you're due.
Yeah, just about a year. Well, I actually have a lot of things going on. I am going to be in a film. I can't give the name of that out yet, but it's going to go to film festivals. We're in the middle of production right now. I'm also recently filmed a pilot for a potential TV show to be streamed. Again, I can't say anything because the contracts haven't been signed, so you'd be able to see me in those 2 things. I'm also casting 3 movies coming up, independent films that are hoping to go to festivals. And as always, I'm writing. My book should be published next year, probably 2022. And as always, you can find me on Instagram, j.co100. I post lots of casting calls, lots of pictures of me in costume, lots of fun stuff like that. So,
can you talk about the book at all?
Well, the book I can talk about because it's my own work. It's basically like it's about 4 women and like their modern dating life. I don't want to give away too much of the plot line. As soon as it comes out, I will let you know so that you can advertise to everybody that watches. My goal is to have it published and turn it into a film eventually.
So a sexy Sex in the City-ish type.
Pretty much, yeah, but more, 2020 version or 2020 version, I should say.
Like it. Looking forward to seeing you in the lead.
Yes. Oh, I don't know if I'll be in that one, but
Rachel, you always have something cooking. What's happening?
Well, of course, you can always find my dog on Instagram at Dobby the house dog. Oh, he's not here tonight with me,
Oh,
unfortunately.
where
I'm
is?
sorry to say.
Oh, I love
He's off with his dad having walks and getting all attention. Um, I'm also soliciting suggestions for names for my baking Instagram. So if you have any fun ideas, shoot them my way. And you can find the first 2 episodes of Faith Healing on basically everywhere you can find podcasts. So
awesome.
cool.
Cinematic chef cinema. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. I'll get back.
I'll
to you.
think of something for you.
Yeah, we'll in the chat. We'll think of something good. Mr. Harris, anything you want to plug tonight?
I mean, just in my personal life, I recently started reading the Old Boy manga. Have you heard of the films? Old
Yeah,
Boy?
the remake was with Josh Brolin, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And the original Korean film was 2003, which I haven't seen either of them, but I've heard a lot about. So I just happened to pick up the manga from the library, really enjoying it. I can see how it could easily be translated into a great film. So once I'm finished with it, I'll be sure to see the movie. Yeah, keep you updated.
Cool, man. That should be, that's time consuming. You got the manga and then the films. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, I read a little bit before bed each night. So one day at a time.
I like it. I'm the same with a Michael Douglas movie.
Nice. Yeah.
I
I never got around to seeing Black Rain, but I always wanted to.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's it. Yeah.
I got to check it out.
I have the DVD actually, if you want to borrow it.
Nice. Yeah. I grew up watching Romancing the Stone, by the way. Huge fan. Like very funny and great movie.
Yes, it's different and an interesting precursor to Back to the Future from Robert Zemeckis.
I didn't realize that it was also a Zemeckis film, but it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. The opening credits right before the title have the same font as Back to the Future. So that's useless trivia, guys. Useless.
No trivia is useless.
Nice. Well, guys, I just want to thank you so much. This was a great show as usual.
Thanks for having us, Randy.
Yeah, it's great to have you back after all this time, and hopefully you'll come back sooner than a year.
Well, with all of the Broadway to movie musicals coming out, I'll be sure to be here every single time so I could tell you my thoughts on them. Yeah.
Definitely have you back. Yeah. Definitely by Christmas for West Side Story, if not sooner, definitely sooner.
Yeah, I think West Side Story is coming out in the fall and Dear Evan Hansen's coming out in December. So
that's okay. That's good.
Oh, and the Aretha Franklin biopic too. I'm gonna go see that.
Yeah, that looks good too.
All right.
There's music, I'm there. So
okay. Might have a future show with you guys for that. We'll see.
Cool.
Rachel Culp, thank you so much for your time tonight as well.
thank you.
Yeah. And Rob Harris, good to have you as well, sir.
Always a pleasure talking movies with you, Randy. Thanks for having us.
Sure. And guys watching at home and on your devices, you can find all new episodes of Under the Radar every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And we'll see you next time for more movie reviews. So until then, take care and thanks so much. Bye, guys.